Okay, so this is lesson 9.4. This is about the quadratic formula. So in this lesson, I'm going to teach you a formula that you can use to solve for a quadratic. Let's say you really don't like completing the square, or you don't like using square roots at all, or you just hate graphing, or you don't like factoring, all these other methods that we've already used to help solve. Or let's say it's just impossible for you to use those methods. This is a surefire way that if you plug in all the things correctly and use your PEMDAS, your order of operations, you can solve for x every single time. So the formula goes like this. X is equal to, and this is going to look really crazy at first, but believe it or not, a lot of people in their lifetime have memorized this formula. And it goes negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. Something to notice right off the bat is you can recognize, hey, that looks a little bit like the vertex formula, right? Negative b over 2a. Now we just have an extra chunk added here, okay? This helps us solve for any of them. And what we're going to tag on to the end of this is we're going to say if and only if our equation is already set up as 0 is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So if you have already set up equal to 0, then you basically can take each of these and plug them into this formula and solve for x every single time. And this should give you either 2 or 1 or 0 solutions, right? Depending on what happens inside here. That's where the plus or minus comes in. So let's do an example so you can see what I'm talking about. So we'll call this example A. So example A, let's take 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay? So our first step every time is going to be to set this equal to 0. But luckily for us in this case, it's already set equal to 0, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we do have to do is, what I'm going to do off to the side is I'm just going to label all of my values so I know what I'm plugging into what. So first off, my a value is the first one, so it's 2. My b value is the second, it's negative 5. And then my third is 3, okay? So now that I have that, I should be able to use this formula right here, plug all that in, and solve for x. So let's start. X is equal to negative b. Okay, so I already have a negative. So if I already have a negative, it needs to be a positive. So I'm going to use a positive 5 here. So positive 5 plus or minus the square root of, okay, now I'm going to take my b value again. This time I'm going to take a negative 5, put in parentheses when it's negative, squared, okay, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is 3, and then all of that is going to be divided at the end by 2 times my a value, which is 2. Okay? So for this, we need to follow PEMDAS. So I'm going to write PEMDAS off to the side, or order of operations, if you don't like using the word PEMDAS. We got parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Okay, so we're going to follow this and solve for all this. So first, let's get all the parentheses out of the way. So let's get rid of this one right here, which this is going to force us to go to our exponents. So negative 5 squared. So if I'm rewriting this, I'm leaving everything that's not in the parentheses alone, plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared gives me a positive 25 minus 4 times 2, which is 8, times 3, which is 24. Okay. All over, and now I can solve this. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so I just got rid of all those. And I just solved for my exponents. However, I still have a root. And if you didn't know, this doesn't just include exponents, this also includes roots. So we got to solve inside the root before we can move on. So let's go ahead and do that. 25 minus 24 gives us 1. So now we're dealing with the square root of 1 all over 4. Okay. I'm just going to start writing sideways to save some space. Equals 5. Now this is where the split happens. If I solve for this, which we're doing right now, I get 1, right? But I also get -1. That's why there's a plus or minus right here. So let's do the positive version first. Plus 1 all over 4. But now I need to write my second answer. Equals 5 minus 1 over 4. Okay? This is why I'm writing it off to the side, so that way we can see the two different answers. So now I get 6 over 4, which is equal to 3 over 2. And then this one becomes 4 over 4, which is equal to 1. And so my final answer is x is equal to 3 over 2, or x is equal to 1. Okay? So that's how you do it. I'm going to give you a couple problems to do yourself. And so while you're working on those, once you're done, you can come back and get the answers. So here are the problems. Page 478, numbers 1 through 3, all. Okay? So go ahead and do those, and then we'll come back and you can see what answers we got.